Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the debut episode of CCW Top of the Turnbuckle, a roundtable discussion featuring many topics involving professional wrestling. I, of course, am CCW. It's about time you've seen my face. Joining me is my esteemed panel. Before we introduce this week's topic of the debut episode, facing forward to me, you know this individual as Nicholas Harper and many other faces. Me, Mark Douglas, the damn slam, if you will. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Duke Logan.
I'm Duke, guys.
Duke Logan. And to my left forward, if you will, anything but the common man, baby.
Sapphire.
You see him every sweet sapphire, my sapphire. You're my sapphire for the last 18 years of my life. Sweet sapphire, getting down, baby. We're gonna do an episode with me and you dancing to and I'll wear the polka dot. That's what
I'm with it.
Sweet sapphire. We gotta get your Jerry Curl wig.
Done. Get hair, I made it.
Done. But nonetheless, Johnny Blaze, the big bad booty daddy.
How you doing, folks?
And joining you, center screen. I apologize if you can't see him with much clarity at the debut episode, but don't worry. He's been my best friend for 15 years, and I still don't have any clarity on him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my best friend. He is the Dwayne Johnson of the show, because he brings it live via satellite, Michael McDonald. How are you, Michael?
Finally,
Chop liver?
Michael has come back to New York via satellite.
Well, now you know where we are.
And that's it.
All right, here's our topic. Are you guys ready to kick it into high gear?
Chop
Yes,
liver.
sir.
Yeah, why not?
Shoot.
It's very hard to classify this category into a number, be it 15 or 25. This is a shoot discussion on the greatest tag teams of all time. It's very hard to numerically order, without any regrets, such a topic, and we decided to freelance discuss it. Michael, I'll start with you. What is it that makes a great tag team?
What makes a great tag team is the chemistry they have. It's all about the team chemistry and how well they work in the ring together. If that chemistry isn't there, if they don't balance one another out in the ring and on the mic, then they just don't have what it takes. That's what makes the difference between teams like the Hardys, the Dudleys, even Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. That's what makes them good teams and separates them from random strewn together teams like Cena and Batista. They just didn't work together. It's one of those things, you can't just have a team of just bruisers for me. You need to have a little something extra. And in my opinion, not a lot of teams these days have that factor. They don't have that chemistry. I think a team right now that has that chemistry and can be great if they stay together long enough is actually Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. I think those two have the potential to eventually get good, but I don't think they're amongst the greatest. I think one of the greatest tag teams at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and throw out Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty, because they worked well together. They were a fantastic, cohesive unit.
Well, before you get off, because the tag team, one of the things that he said was working well together. And to me, the tag team that if I was to put on a list would be number 2. The tag team that defies working well together and knowing what your partner's going to do before you yourself do it is the Brainbusters. I mean, they're known as the Brainbusters, but at the end of the day, they were simply 2 of the 4 horsemen. I'm talking about Tully Blanchard and the Enforcer Double A Arn Anderson. In terms of knowing your partner and knowing what someone's going to do 3 steps before they do it, that is the definition right there. More than the Road Warriors and more than the Dudleys. The Rockers come close by that definition.
Yeah.
By that definition, the Rockers come close. But in that alone, if you're going to classify a great tag team, maybe even the greatest, then that department is Arn and Tully, who I could watch for hours.
You know, Elliot, I gotta disagree with your Kofi and R-Truth, bro. I mean, for me, a tag team has, and it seldom does it happen that 2 guys are put together and it works. Yes, I'm not saying that they don't work together as a team. I just don't categorize them as a tag team that fits your description. You want to talk about two guys that were put together and they made it work? Miz and Morrison. That's a tag team that made it work for that generation.
True.
I don't think I would say Kofi Kingston and R-Truth could fit the bill.
I think Kofi and Bourne is a better.
That's
fit.
what I was.
I would agree with that.
You know, and
Yeah,
and, you know,
I can swing
Kofi
that.
and Truth.
But
is
I'll
just-
give you a team that was just thrown together that I feel actually worked really well. It's not a current team, but I think Stunning Steve Austin and Flying Brian Pillman.
And those two guys were thrown
The
together.
Hollywood Blondes. They were a tag team.
Wow. I think maybe you slept them.
The Hollywood Blondes.
Fuck me, right?
Well, I didn't know you were listening. But that's a team that, if anybody knows the story behind it, got thrown together.
They sure did.
Barry Windham and Austin, or is it, no, Windham and Pillman were partners, and Pillman was going to go on his own. Windham went to do another venture. I don't know if he was going back to WWE or if he was just going to pursue the NWA title, but they put Austin and Pillman together, and
They had something
and let me tell you something. They were what Beer Money was to TNA. They were the top tag team in WCW, and they kind of, nobody can hold a candle to those two. And and the feud with Arn and Flair just elevated them even more. You know, but the Hollywood Blondes, that's a good one. In terms of putting two people together, by that definition, who's not to say that's not the greatest tag team in the world?
That's right. But one thing you have to include, and I've always said this before, you got to include the success
Yeah.
and what they were able to accomplish, period. And not just in one corporation and all. And when you start putting that into the fold, it knocks back some of the guys you've mentioned, and it throws forward guys like the Dudley Boys,
Right.
who happen to be my outright favorite. I mean, those gentlemen everywhere they walked into, regardless of the situation, regardless of who they were facing, they garnered the titles of that corporation.
My pick for the greatest tag team of all time is the Dudley Boys. That's a hard pill to swallow, but looking at it in a resume sense, on a work rate sense, it's got to be the Dudleys to me.
And that's mine.
The only team that comes close in terms of championships won across the globe is the Road Warriors.
Yes, that's right.
Which, if we had this conversation 10 years ago, probably would have been the number one answer. Maybe even 5 years ago. Might have been the number. Maybe even 5 years ago.
I don't know about 10, yeah.
What are we in, 2012 right now?
I
So
would-
we're talking 5 years ago. I suck at math. What is that?
I would still say
Six or something.
That's 7.
Seven. It's
it's tough. I mean,
talking WrestleMania 23. The Road Warriors are revived. Coming to think about it during that year.
possibly, but I mean, sticking to what we have now, though, the Dudley's just real good. But that's not taken away from.
So-
Taking nothing away from Melody.
So JB, who is your, not greatest, who is your favorite tag team of all time?
My favorite tag team of all time, you're gonna hate me for this, is the Hardy Boys.
Okay, why? Explain that to me.
Michael Hayes.
Take his one.
Not because,
I got one better for you.
not
You're
because
gonna
of Michael
hate
Hayes.
it.
Cause
Which, by the way, Michael Hayes, okay, made the Hardy Boys, alright? Having Michael Hayes as manager, okay? Having him as a playable character in WrestleMania 2000, alright? The Hardy Boys are Michael Hayes. Go ahead.
the Hardy Boys are my favorite tag team of all time because when they came out, you didn't really know what was gonna happen. You know you're gonna get some high flying action, you're gonna get a couple tag team moves, you're gonna get that brother connection that they had, but they were always gonna do something different trying to win a match.
That's what made them unique. They're brothers.
Well, the match, and they're legit brothers.
Legit
The
brothers.
match that made them stand out to me, and people get pissy when I pick this, is Edge and Christian versus the Hardys for Terry's Bag of Money at No Mercy. That's the match that put the Hardys over to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're
Yeah.
right.
And
Wow.
people forget,
You
yeah.
caught it back.
You forget about that. Look at that. Look at Michael McDonald.
Hey, Mike, you okay there?
You're right, Mikey.
Did he not have said that?
I'll be.
Wow.
I forgot all about that match, and now that you mention it,
It's on the ladder, dude.
I gotta YouTube that later.
I got
It is?
Oh, mine? Yeah, the first one.
I got two favorites though. If you want to talk about favorites in terms of
Oh,
personal.
I gotta hear yours.
Now typically you guys would expect me to say Brothers of Destruction. I love them, but they're not my.
But you see, are they a draw or are they a tag team?
They
I
are
consider
tag
them a
team
tag team.
because they're.
I consider them, but that is a question you have to ask.
The reason I would consider them is because anytime you see those two together, what's the first thing coming to your up?
But
Destruction.
how cohesive do they work? Now,
They
I have
are
to play
cohesive.
Devil's advocate to you.
They are cohesive. I mean, those two have worked together for years.
That doesn't make them cohesive.
And they're fake brothers.
And they're big
That makes them cohesive. My wrestling and kayfabe.
But
that makes them
nevertheless,
cohesive.
I have a tie between two of my favorite tag teams. Number one, APA.
Okay.
The Acolytes. Those guys, and I think Mike will agree with me, they have just some weird ass chemistry.
Yeah.
You didn't see that
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
Here you got Farouk, Ron Simmons, a guy who, first African American world champion, which I love. The fact that he did that.
Legend.
Put together with a man who at that time was a force to be reckoned with, but hadn't been yet put over, and boom, they can hit.
Great matches with the Outlaws.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the other team I wanted to mention, which I spoke to you earlier about this, the Head Shrinkers.
Right.
Fatu and Samuel. Those two guys, they were a tag team to
Would
be
you
dealt
put the
with.
Head Shrinkers over the Samoan SWAT team and the New Wild Samoans?
It's hard to say. But
Which Fatu was a part of all three.
it's hard to say, but I'm gonna have to stick with the Head Shrinkers only because I felt that chemistry between those two.
Who was Haku's partner in the Islanders?
That goes to
Because that's another good tag team.
That might
Michael,
have
do
been-
you know that? Who's his tag partner in the Islanders?
That might have been Samu maybe.
I don't know. It might have been.
It might have been some.
Or wasn't it Haku and the Tonga Kid? Or is Haku the Tonga Kid? I think Haku is
Haku is
the
the
Tonga
Tonga
Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw Kid Cincinnati fight once. So you think about Kid St. Louis. Alright, we're going to talk favorite tag teams. I got two for you. Alright, number one, Steiner Brothers.
Yes.
Okay, who are completely underrated at this point.
I can't knock yours. I can't knock
Steiner
yours.
Brothers, resume's great.
Great,
Great, tremendous.
Great jackets.
Great jackets,
Great
great theme music, great chemistry, great sister. You know what I'm talking about.
Actually, brothers.
Actual brothers at that. Rick Steiner never gets the credit that he deserves.
No.
Not to mention that Rick Steiner was in the NWA and WCW before Scotty came in. I think they brought Scott in when Rick turned face against Varsity Club, which is another great tag team, by the way.
And Rick Steiner's a great technician.
Rick Steiner, great technician, also a collegiate wrestler, like his brother Scott, from Michigan. One of the original suplex machines right behind the Iron Sheet. Would have done great in ECW had they stood. Okay, second tag team, maybe the most underrated tag team of all time. Michael McDonald, pay attention. You know what it is. The Heavenly Bodies. Thank you. Dr. Tom Pritchard, Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey, the Heavenly Bodies, managed by the man who's better at late night than David Letterman, Mr. James E. Cornette. Hands down. We're talking Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey doing an effing moonsault.
Jimmy Del Rey had a shirt on after he took the shirt off.
Okay? Alright? Do you know, let me tell you something. You must be a hell of a man. Alright, to shake like that. And keep me fucking entertained.
You'd be the
Alright?
You'd be the one that's like that.
Hey! And the robe! The robe was epic!
You want to know what's scary about that is they strike a weird resemblance to the Freebirds, who you like as well.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Freebirds, who invented the Freebird rule, where any Max Reed on the SUSA, any three members can defend the tag titles. Now that is a fucking accomplishment. Like on the card, it's gonna be Terry Bam Bam Gordy and Buddy Roberts. No, Hayes is wrestling. Roberts is sick.
Walk out, wait a minute.
Wait, what? Ad Street.
Hey Mike, what is your take?
Give me two of your favorite tag teams.
One.
And you can put the Heavenly Bodies over because they deserve it.
You do that.
I only got one.
I'm not putting the Heavenly Bodies over. Let's get that out the way.
You clap for me.
That's actually a tough question because I like quite a few tag teams.
Okay.
But I kind of have I have more an affinity for certain stables.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and go with stables?
Well,
We'll
see.
decide.
We'll decide, I guess. What do you got?
I actually really liked when Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko worked together.
So we're talking
The Radicals.
the Radicals, Revolution, the Horsemen.
That's tough. That's a tough one.
And those two in particular, anytime Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko work together against any team, I don't care what team it was. Like I said before, I'm a sucker for technical wrestling. I love Chris Benoit's style. I love Dean Malenko's style. The two of them, whenever they got in the ring as a tag team or even as enemies, it was magic. It was beautiful. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
You got a weird friend.
I love watching it. I love the Dean Malenko's his submission expertise. I love Chris Benoit's constant Germans, his constant working, his train of thought. You could see the gears turning whenever he was in the ring. I loved it. I love Chris Benoit and Malenko.
I think you just went from 6 to midnight on that. Your second tag team, Michael.
My second tag team, it's kind of an odd one, but I liked it just because of how goofy it was. I actually really like Jericho.
Jericho was a good tag team for that time period.
Yeah.
That was a great meshing of two single stars. I stand with them.
I like Miz and Big Show better.
I just can't sway with Miz because I'm not a Miz fan.
And at that,
I'm a Miz fan. I just think Jericho is better.
And at that, I like Kane and Big Show better.
Which is a great tag team in itself.
Yeah, but that's with Kane and Big Show. They kind of have that whole unstoppable thing. I don't like that.
So you're knocking them for what they bring?
So then you didn't like the Road Warriors?
Because that's exactly the Road Warriors.
No, it's not exactly the Road Warriors. It's a different thing.
They had Smash Mouth Styles. What is the difference?
That's perfectly fine.
This
That's
came up in the
perfectly
internet
fine,
recently,
but
so I
I
don't
just
like join the band.
my whole thing is
so
that
you're kind of saying the Road
when the
Warriors,
Road Warriors, their styles were similar, but they had their differences. With Kane and Big Show, they were just kind of tanks. They felt kind of one-dimensional to me.
Hawk and Animal were not tanks? Those?
They were tanks, but there was difference. I can't explain it. I just feel that the Road Warriors, they had a better chemistry. They had a better way of working than Show.
I would agree, but in the sense of what they brought to the table, they brought the same thing that Kane and Big Show brought. You're not going to convince me.
All right, well, hold on. Big Bad Booty Daddy, save us. Least favorite tag team.
Wow. As in like they just shouldn't have been a tag team.
Least favorite tag team.
Shit. Kane and X-Pac.
Oh, I'm not with it.
No,
I'm not with it. I'm not with it.
That brought a new dynamic to tag team wrestling.
And yeah, I'm not with that. I'm not gonna.
Oh no, I'm not denying that it brought a new dynamic. I just didn't like those two together.
That's a personal thing. Though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine is going to be like, what? Demolition.
Well, you mentioned that on the ride over here.
Demolition. I'm not going to go on the
the axe and the smash.
I'm not going to go on the bandwagon and say that they were a copycat of the Legion of Doom because I don't believe they were.
I don't believe that. No, they weren't.
Well, what I am going to say about Demolition, bro,
You're a copycat of the guy from Infamous. I don't say a damn thing.
Anybody else thinks he's watching the snuff film?
What you gotta admit though, Demolition, honestly, I mean, what was their pull other than having painted faces and...
They were the missing village people.
I'm gonna say it this time. My least favorite tag team, mostly because of the name, even though I enjoy them as a tag team, I'm thinking about it, Head Chiefs. Steve Blackman and Al Snow. I'm not going to say that it wasn't hilarious. I'm not going to say that the WrestleMania 2000 moment with the cheese guy slapping his head in his ass wasn't comical, but yeah.
Head cheese.
But they did work decently together.
If that's what you want to call that.
And honorable mentions on least favorite tag team, WCW, the Ding Dongs, okay?
The Dicks.
And number 2, the Dicks. That goes, yeah, you knew that was coming.
Hey, you know what?
The Dicks.
That, you know, I know we're talking about the least favorite, but that just brought to mind the tag team that kind of got shoved away once the WWE's inception of ECW came
I'm not
about.
talking about those Gold brothers, you know?
I'm talking about the Bashams.
I'll figure it out.
I'll fucking figure guys to fight.
It's a day of reckoning thing, man.
I mean, the Basham brothers, believe it or not, they made it work.
They were a good team.
They made it work. I'm not saying they were greatest.
No.
But they made it work.
Hawkins and Ryder.
They made it work. I like the Bashams.
It's a good one. Least favorite tag team, Michael?
My least favorite tag teams.
His least favorite
I'm
tag
probably
team
gonna
was
get shit for this one, but
Yeah, you will.
fuck you, Lex.
Who the hell is
My
that?
least favorite tag team?
This guy.
Wait, who the hell is
Big
that?
Bad Booty Daddy. Excuse me. I actually gotta go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna have to go with Jack Swagger and Dolph Ziggler. Or
That
no,
shouldn't
not even.
count.
Excuse me.
That shouldn't count.
Excuse me. My least favorite tag team is Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior.
That doesn't count at all. They tag team like twice.
It was a tag team.
That's like saying
favorite tag team.
so you can't count their opponents, Genius and Perfect. That wouldn't count either.
Exactly.
Then I'll stick with Swagger and I'll
That
Which
shouldn't
also
count.
doesn't count.
That's like that would be like that is the equivalent of 2 members of the Heenan family being in a tag match together.
Exactly.
They're not a tag team. That doesn't count. No.
How do they not? How does Ziggler and Swagger have to
It would
They
be
were
the
tag
same.
team
It
for
would be the
fucking
same logic as if Bobby Heenan were to put Haku and Rick Rude against Demolition for the tag titles.
Yep.
How many tag team matches did Ziggler and Swagger have?
Because they were both the single competitors for Vicky Guerrero's.
Explain to me their
Remember
accolades.
the stable.
Tell me what their accolades are.
Collectively.
They,
Over the top. Nothing personal.
When you have a fail.
but that just proves my point as to why I don't like them. They didn't do anything.
That's because they're not a tag team.
But Bobby Brown, that's your prerogative.
They weren't
It's all-
tag. Okay, you want a tag team?
Come on, Bobby.
Here, I didn't like Road Dogg and Billy Gunn.
Oh.
Whoa!
Turn him off.
Oh, you didn't know!
No, he's not watching Raw at one time.
Your ass better call somebody.
And somebody ain't watching WWE 13.
I'm kidding. I actually did like them,
Yeah, I know you
but honest, I wasn't
How
so
you
big
getting
on
have to whoop your ass.
Carlito and his cousin.
No, I like
Primo?
They were great.
I agree with you.
No, I like them.
Carlito and Primo?
Carlito Primo, I enjoyed them.
I didn't like them. They didn't really get anything done. They were just
They
kind
got
of there.
stuff done.
They were
That was more, I
faces.
think that was more of a crowd issue getting over than
I mean, we're trying to find him a team he don't like.
That was, I tell you what team, he's going to be with me on this because I'm watching Class of the Man and I actually forgot about these morons. Southern Justice.
Why did that sound so familiar?
They were the Godwins. Okay, the Godwins is a great team. Then there was Southern Justice when Jeff Jarrett was doing the whole "Don't piss me off" thing. He was their bodyguard, Southern Justice. They repackaged the Godwins as Southern Justice. That's a pretty bad tag team.
Terrible.
Yeah, Southern Justice is pretty bad.
And the Hardys, when they first debuted, were terrible.
Yes, they were.
Jeff Hardy tripped over the top or the middle rope.
Yeah. What saved them was their outfits and the launches. And I don't mean that they put their outfits on launches.
Whew.
I'm just saying. Another, we gotta mention. What? Just helping them out.
In my personal opinion, I can't stand TNA.
Wow, that's pretty bold.
But they have created tag
I
teams.
guess I know who I'm not sending this to.
Creative tag teams? TNA is gutter trash. It's full of WWE rejects. People that couldn't cut the fucking cheese. They couldn't get the job. They couldn't get anything done.
Hold on,
LAX.
I like that.
I enjoyed it. First of all, the greatest TNA tag team of all time.
LAX is the same thing that Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero and all those other guys were in back in WCW. It's a rehash of the same idea.
Absolutely not.
Nick Hogan's whole thing a while back. A rehash of the whole same thing of the
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
job. All they do is rehash old ideas. They
Absolutely
do
not.
something different.
So then what is the rehash
If I
of the
may.
greatest TNA tag team of all time, America's Most Wanted?
Yes.
AMW is the greatest TNA tag team of all time.
Period.
The only reason that Beer Money isn't number one is because AMW started the tag team division.
Yes.
And when AMW split up, it was a big deal.
It was huge.
And the guy who got the short end of that stick was Wildcat Chris Harris.
Yes. Chris Harris got the shit end.
That is the definition of when you split up a tag team, seeing what happens. And Chris Harris got the worst end of that stick.
Real quick though, to talk about the Latin American exchange, you cannot doubt or put down the athletic prowess of both Hernandez and Homicide. When those two, hold on, when those two combined came to the ring, not only did you have a dynamic of a cruiserweight a la WWE, but you had the dynamic of a powerhouse in Hernandez, who was underrated. And when they got put together, they dominated TNA.
Hernandez was very green at that time, but they put him together with Homicide, who just came off of Ring of Honor, who was another underestimated worker. For Ring of Honor, first of all, the Kings of Wrestling, which is a CM Punk led stable, multiple tag teams in that group. The Briscoes, Ring of Honor, also another team that has to go on the top 25 list. However, what I want to get at in terms of Homicide and Colt Cabana had one of the greatest feuds in Ring of Honor history. So, I mean, LAX is not a rehash of Los Guerreros.
No, no way. Not even close.
That would be like saying
Not-
Eddie Guerrero
not
is a rehash
Los
to
Guerreros.
Santana.
I think it was
LWO?
LWO.
LWO was a flop. A flop that did not go over well, and no way TNA was trying to hash that back up.
What's his name came over? What year? Jason Hurd?
Because when you add a guy like Hector Guerrero to that mix, to give that LAX actually some real good punching power, boom. That's a tag
Was
team.
it LAX that beat up on Johnny Rods?
Yes, they sure were.
Come on now.
Yes, they
That's
sure
a
were.
big deal.
And Johnny Rod, trainer over,
Jaru?
he's over at Gleason's in Brooklyn.
That's right. If I want to leave me alone, I'll do it.
So,
If you haven't paid,
All
we
right.
got paid
Who
for
are the
that
Motor
show.
City Machine Guns a rehash of? Another great TNA tag team.
the closest you can get to
Actually, I do like them.
Paul London.
For some reason, they remind me of
Which is
Who
another
were on
great
my list?
London
Paul
and
London
Kendrick.
and the
They were
other
on my
guy.
list.
London and Kendrick, another great tag team.
I wouldn't put them in my top 25, but I enjoyed watching them.
They were fun. They are fun to watch.
Another underrated team. They were great for the moment. M&M.
Yeah.
You know, I had trouble with those two. I really, really did. They were fresh off, you know, they had really good matches. I had trouble with them, though, because I felt WWE pulled them apart too soon. I felt they could have been better. They were destined for more.
Two tag teams that got snubbed, and I think one tag team everybody is going to be like gas. First of all, the Blue Bloods. Bobby and Regal.
Personal favorite.
Personal favorite, Dave Taylor and Regal.
Yep.
Who were another WWE tag team later on, like 10 years later.
Yep.
Okay, but nobody here, for whatever reason, mentioned the Rock and Roll Express or the Midnight Express.
Those express strings from people on.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I understand somebody omitting the Midnight Express. I wouldn't. So Sweet Stan Lane and everybody else keep your sweetness on. However, the Rock and Roll Express is kind of like, yeah, you gotta have them.
Believe it or not, they kind of lose their luster because of another team that
Is that longevity?
Maybe. Because they also lose their luster because of a team that's almost similarly named, the Rockers. When you think about the Rock and Roll Express, uneducated fans would automatically think about the Rockers. And that's not
Who were
for,
put over by another great tag team that everybody's forgetting. Doug Summers and Playboy Buddy Rose.
you got me
Yeah.
on that one.
No, he's agreeing. Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens, another great tag team. Crusher and Bruiser, who put over the Road Warriors in AWA.
Yeah.
For honorable mentions.
The Nasty Boys, how are we forgetting about them?
I got the
Nasty
Nasty
Boys. One of the most
No.
underrated matches from a WrestleMania is what I like to call the Jimmy Hart match, and that's WrestleMania 8, the Natural Disasters, Money Inc., the Nasty Boys, and who's the fourth tag team? It's four. Why can't I remember the fourth tag team right now? Nasty Boys, Money Inc., Natural Disasters,
I'm blanking.
not the Beverly Brothers.
No.
That's the Genius. It's a four-way tag match. Can anybody look that up? That might be happening until I get that. It's a four-way though, right? You remember what
Yes.
I'm talking about. Oh, the Rougeos.
Yes.
Jacques and Raymond. No, they're not in that match. That's cool.
Pump the brakes on that.
Mr. McDonald, you love this tag team, the Rougeos. Feuded with
I
your...
was saying yes to the Rougeos.
You were feuded with one of your favorites, the Bulldogs, the Rougeau brothers. Your thoughts?
I actually forgot about them. I love them. Bottom line, I still feel they're probably the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'll drop all the other teams that I said that I like, and I'll put them at number one.
I got a team that's gonna make you withhold that. You ready?
Okay.
The Mega Powers.
Fuck you.
What the heck? I just named the Mega Powers.
I like the fact that you brought it up, but I think my absolute hatred towards Hulk Hogan kind of
Well,
weighs it down a little bit.
there's no hatred for this tag team, the Conquistadors. The original Conquistadors. Thank you, and thank you.
No.
Warlord and Barbarian. The East-West Coast Connection, Jesse Ventura, Adrian Adonis. Adrian Adonis and, I can't remember his other tag team partner. I'll get back to you on that one.
WrestleMania 8, right?
WrestleMania 8.
That was a 8-man tag.
Oh, 8-man tag. What was the other team that?
Big Boss Man, Virgil, Slaughter.
No, not that. That's a separate tag match.
Oh, no. It's the Natural Disasters and defeated Money Inc. with Jimmy Hart there. There's no fatal four-way.
Oh, no? Why don't I know the
There's the Bush. There's a lot of tag matches going on. The Bushwhackers faced the Beverly Brothers.
I remember the situation, though.
Big Boss Man, Virgil, Sergeant Slaughter, and Jim Duggan defeating the Nasty Boys.
Okay,
Repo
so
Man
that's
and
what
the
has to be then. But I remember the situation being that Jimmy Hart had to pick one of the four tag teams to manage, and he went with Money Inc. For him to only turn face and manage Hulk Hogan later. So,
Watch where you step in. Dropping knobs.
we're omitting a little bit of World Championship Wrestling, Harlem Heat.
I have them.
Can't forget those guys.
Can't forget
Cannot
Harlem Heat.
forget
Colt Hogan Academy.
Harlem Heat, looking at my list, the Twin Towers.
Twin Towers.
My man Akeem, and the Big Bulk Man.
Speaking of WCW, the faces of fear.
Oh yeah, Ming the Barbarian. Michael McDonald can vouch for me. I was watching World War III '97, and I saw Barbarian do a back body drop, and Ming catch the guy and hit him with a tomahawk.
Yep, I remember that.
That was probably one of the most impressive feats I've ever seen.
On Glacier.
Only one person has beaten
Glacier
that
boy
feat,
like that.
and he will
So you
remain
need to watch
unnamed.
that. How about the Rock and Sock Connection? Is that a draw or an actual tag team?
That was an actual.
That's a tag team.
That's an
a
actual
tag
team.
team.
That's an actual tag team.
It's a gimmick.
I think they put them together to be a draw, and it ended up becoming a regular tag.
Owen and Bulldog,
I don't have
who I
Yes.
think were better.
They were brilliant.
And Owen and Bulldog to me were better than the Bulldogs, my opinion.
I have the Bulldogs.
I don't
You know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely
Absolutely.
right. I won't take that away from you. You are absolutely right.
I think
that was brilliant.
I think Owen and Bulldog were better than the Bulldogs. Money Incorporated have only been
Money
mentioned
Inc.
but not put over.
Money Inc., Ted DiBiase and
And IRS.
Wait, give me, I got his name. Give me a second.
You just said it.
Rotundo, his real name.
Mike Rotundo,
Mike Rotundo.
who was also in the Varsity Club.
Yes.
With Rick Steiner, another great tag team.
You can't omit. Hey,
Vince and Shane McMahon were a great tag team.
Strike Force.
World's greatest tag team?
The world's greatest tag team, totally underrated, doing great in Ring of Honor, putting over a lot of things getting done. What was it you just said? Strike Force, tremendous. When they broke up, that was a really big deal, and it elevated both those guys, but not as much as it should have. But the Rick Martel, Tito Santana single matches were really great. But Strike Force as a tag team was very, very good. I didn't enjoy them singing girls in cars, but Strike Force.
The Killer Bees were good too.
Jumpin' Jim Brunzelli and Jim Brunzel and B. Brian Blair.
He's using the force.
B. Brian Blair, Jumpin' Jim Brunzelli, the Killer Bees, Nikolai and the Sheep,
I have them.
Rotundo and Wyndham,
The Foreign Connection.
Don't
Foreign-
U.S. Express.
No, I'm talking about Sheik and.
The foreign, yeah, something
Foreign
like
Alliance
that.
or
Yeah,
something
something like that. Everyone on my list has been mentioned.
I got one for you. The Sheep Hunters.
Wow. AKA the Kiwis, AKA the Bushwhackers. But
What did we call them just now?
They were the Sheep
that's what they were in the
Hunters.
NWA. They were heels, and you know who they were managed by? Johnny Ace.
Oh,
One half of the Dynamic Dudes. Another decent tactic.
yeah, let's not go that far.
Well, Johnny Ace individually, great
Wait,
wrestler.
who's Johnny
Yes.
Ace?
Sabu and RVD.
How did I forget that?
And that's a very underrated tactic.
Yeah.
Sabu and RVD.
I thought Kane and RVD were pretty good too.
Yes, they were.
Yes, they were. La Resistance.
They had
I
a
was just
serious
like,
I have, you know,
difference in
You gotta
styles.
specify which combination.
Grenier.
Sylvain Grenier and Rob Conway.
Oh yeah, Grenier and Rob Conway was probably better than Sylvan. Yeah, I'm agree with you on that.
What are you guys' opinions on Public Enemy?
Great tactic.
I love them. They got shitted on so many times for whatever reason. I don't know. I enjoyed them. They brought a different type
Was
of...
their WCW run as bad as people say?
Was WCW?
Was their
What's their
WCW run as
WCW
bad
run?
as...
They weren't given a shot. Or a fair shake, as people would like
Right.
to say.
Well, they were put over as a joke. When they got in the ring, it was different.
That's because they were by the higher ups. I wasn't there and I can't say it, but it's portrayed as a fan. You gotta believe that they were treated as just that.
And when you think about this collective, and all the tag team was sprung from it. Shawn Michaels and Diesel, Cameron Nash and Scott Hall,
Who I have.
1-2-3 Kid was great on Marty Jannetty, and 1-2-3 Kid and Road Dogg, I believe that was injured. All great tag teams.
Billy Kidman and that other guy he worked with, I forgot his name.
That's just an insult to Paul London.
Well, did you just say that other guy he worked with?
Yes.
I wanted to see who would catch it. I really did.
And it was the battle of the 450 and the shooting star, which
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah. What about
Los
Smoking?
Guerreros.
I have them.
Another who are you again?
Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald. Why did I call you Elliot? That's twice.
He looks like an idiot.
Anyway, Michael McDonald. The tag team I forgot to be mad that they were omitted. Angle and Benoit. Who's to say they weren't a great tag team in that SmackDown era?
Yeah, they were.
Who's to say they weren't? Edge and
Right.
Ray, who were also in the fray, and also,
Yeah.
I think when
Edge and Hogan?
They were more seen as friends than a tag
now
team.
that's definitely a draw.
The Mega Powers.
These were mentioned by me, but he shot it down.
How about Smoking Gun?
Wow, that's another underestimate.
Billy and Chuck.
I was gonna say Billy
Another
and
good
Chuck.
one.
You look
3-minute
so
Good 3-minute
3-minute warning worked for a few minutes.
Would you say about 3?
All right, gentlemen, it's about closing time now.
Closing
It's about time.
time.
You ain't gotta stay here, but you got to go home. I'm gonna end it with this. What is your dream tag team? I'm gonna start with you, Duke Logan. Dookie.
Dream tag team as
Okay.
two people combined.
What would
into-
your dream tag team?
Can I create a name for them just for?
If you'd like.
I'm gonna think of the name of the tag team, but I would love to have seen The Undertaker tag team up with Sting.
What year do you think that would have went up?
that would have gone over between the years of me. There's two generations where it could work. It worked in the early 90s when Undertaker debuted as The Undertaker and Sting come over with his electric face paint and all that great splendor, and it could have gone over during the early 2000s.
Do you think those two stars are too big to be a tag team?
No. Because Undertaker's the bruiser, Sting is the technician.
Johnny Blaze, your dream tag team.
Before I get to my dream tag team, we forgot Kai and Tai.
Underrated. Underrated. As a stable, as a tag team. Underrated.
And I got to them
Indeed.
my was it fantasy tag team?
Yeah, dream tag team.
My dream tag team would be the Great Muda
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I
hey.
was trying to put it with somebody.
Got hit with a shiny result.
and Ultimo Dragon.
Wow. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I feel like that would have
I
worked
take my hat
really
off,
well.
All right, Michael McDonald, your dream tag team.
Okay, I've got two. If dead people count.
Okay, give me one.
I would honestly really like to see, I would honestly really like to see Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle.
That might not be bad.
And they could legitimately call themselves the Ring Generals.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's not bad. All right, I got. That's actually a good name for it. That would be. Oh yes, we suck.
No, you suck.
Yes.
You
That-
suck. Yes. You
If
suck.
they were feuding, that'd be epic.
That
You
would be epic.
suck.
Wow.
I got one for you.
Hey, WWE.
If I remember it now. In their primes, and not when they did it in WCW, but I think Randy Savage.
Time out. Have they tag team before?
Yeah.
Does it count?
Because they've done it.
Well, Savage and Sting. Anyway. But you know what? I don't need a dream tag team, because my dream tag team is the Heavenly Bodies. Okay?
That's
All
like
right.
a natural disaster.
Okay? No.
I can't come up with anything.
Just, I wanted to mention the natural disasters great tag team. Two big men. I'm a big man.
The thunk. I'm gonna go off guard on this one, and I'm actually gonna go
For a flash bomb.
with Chris Candido and Vader.
Wow.
Chris Candido and Vader.
Can Sonny manage them?
With Sonny management. Sonny and Luna. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I want to thank my panel also for joining us.
Damn right.
Join us for next week, as our next topic will be the top 15 greatest cage matches of all time, and we also discuss who is the greatest wrestler to ever step foot inside of a steel cage.
Where's from you?
So, for Duke Logan, for the Big Bad Booty Daddy, for Michael McDonald, this is Cheyenne McMahon. Don't go over the top. We'll see you guys next time.
Only in America.
Dick. Hey, Michael, your mom called, man. Fuck that bitch.